Hello, welcome to this short video. It's going to be an energy check-in. What I heard when I was getting my Palo Santo was the snippet of Snoop Dogg giving that speech for something where he was like, most of all, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for like getting up early, putting in the work, doing whatever. That's what just popped into my mind, which is pretty random. I haven't seen that or heard anything about it or him in a very long time. So there's something about hard work paying off and hard work continuing to be an act of faith. I was reflecting yesterday on a card from the Starseed Oracle that popped into my mind. Make your life a moving prayer. Be in a place of, I don't know the actual interpretation of this card as it's written by the guidebook by Rebecca Campbell, but I pulled it during a reading. This is before I started a YouTube channel. I was doing a card reading in the year 2020 during lockdown, and I think had recently purchased this deck, and I hadn't seen this card before, and it resonated with me so deeply that this is like the card from that deck that I see a lot, because it was 111 when I looked at the clock. Make your life a moving prayer is essentially a way of staying connected to your highest timeline at all times. Because if you think about the present moment being your gateway to all future potentials, like you are this light, you're this bulb, and you can point to any one of these, these strata, these realities, and your elevation of vibration is going to determine the reality that you live. Your future is created in the present moment. And the decisions that you make based off of the way that you feel in the present moment, in each unfolding present moment. And when we don't feel good in the present moment, and we have all these external examples of why that is, that's really just the beginning of taking your power back, because you deconstruct circumstances that can be changed, that cannot be changed, and liberate yourself to the fact, slowly, right? It takes a long time to, everybody's on their own healing time frame when it comes to this stuff, but it can take a very long time because there's always more layers. It's never done, and arriving in a manifestation is only ground zero for a new one to be born from. So that's the messages coming in. I'm also thinking there was another video that I recorded today. I posted a short one, but then I also posted I recorded a longer one that I didn't post in the car because it got too jumbled, because I have a lot of stuff that I would like to share, and I'm just going to let it come out like naturally if it does, and let it go if it doesn't. But I was talking about these big cycles that I am personally closing out, concluding October, moving into November, so that I can be far less burdened. Seeing 10 of Wands card. I'll start to shuffle, see what comes out while I'm talking, but it's just a really intense time for me personally, very important time. And I was talking to myself thinking like, it's okay to be stubborn, to not do things that you don't want to do, but be prepared to either, learn your lesson whenever you're finally ready to lay that down, or to have been, right all along. There's only really two ways it can go. You have your choices. And there are certain things that I personally was procrastinating on, and I don't have the option to do that. I shouldn't have done that. And I was deconstructing so many of the things that I had to look at in order to deal with certain situations. So I'm not going to talk about it more on a personal level, but in the collective and the energies, it's like, do as you're guided to do. Your short-sightedness will be revealed to you, and that's not a threat to the truth of who you are. So you can it's not like a, go do whatever. It's an invitation, though, to trust that not seeing everything is the key. Knowing, even if say you're, okay, I ran out of storage, but just getting back to the Snoop Dogg thing. Being able to thank yourself for a lot of the changes that, the changes that you've made, but the changes that you've had the clarity internally to witness are potentials or things that you would like to do, because there's so many different levels to enacting stuff and turning a boat around long ago, like a year ago, probably. I was saying this analogy about like stopping a vehicle, deciding that you want to do a 3-point turn, navigating the environment. Like maybe it has to be a 16-point turn so you don't hit another parked object or whatever. And then you start to gain velocity in another direction, depending on where you would like to go. And there's something right now that we're sort of overlapping. This is a whole chunk, so I'm going to put it back and keep going. We're sort of overlapping with a manifestation in our lives that is unfolding, and the new conception of a timeline that we haven't fully enacted, and it's going to be unfolding now for, it makes me want to do a 2025 prophetic reading, but I haven't sunken into like the meditation space with my guides yet around the year. What I do know is that there was a very specific message that I put out in December or January of the new year. Third eye, by the way, is the card that came out. Okay. Talking about how Q4, we were going to be feeling and experiencing by this time this year, 2024, much more integrated and connected network of people who are operating more consistently in a fifth dimensional led space, where they are bringing down to the third dimensional reality, the wisdom, the light, the actual frequency, by embodying it, being able to acclimate in this phasal way that we've been doing throughout this year with all of this energetic shifting, anchoring that light, and then by nature of interacting with other people, of embodying themselves and connecting, right? Unsubscribing from so many of the things that, human is like an empty cup. If your cup is constantly full of inundation and stuff and other people and all this junk that a lot of our society is comprised of, there's no room in that cup for anything else. And so, the message was really around creating a network in this timeline split of people that are, insisting on kind of going down with the sinking ship, and the people that have deviated and are opening themselves and then strengthening the network. That's really coming into shape for me. I can sense it. I can feel it. It's happening. It's alive on the internet. You see, there's like an explosion of people creating different kinds of podcasts and content around all of this. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's not going to stop. But then there's also all of this, and I'm not going to get into that. So anyway, third eye. Yeah. The visualizing into how far you've come and how and where you would like to go. Because there's something else about the manifestation that's starting to crystallize more fully at this time in moving into November. This one and the one on the bottom. Something about this where it's like this new manifestation and this thing that's coming in, this new chapter. And more poignantly, it's the lack of an old structure. It's the closing out of a old chapter that naturally gives birth to a new chapter. So it's a manifestation coming in, but it's also because of, those things go hand in hand, but it's marked by the absence of something from your life in a good way. It felt like it was holding you back in some way. We have memories of love, interesting, and victory and success. It's interesting because we have 666. This is the 6 of Wands, victory and success. And then this is the 6 of Cups. Sort of a nostalgic energy, but also connecting to the inner child and accessing true love is what I heard. True love, but I mean it in terms of the frequency of love, right? Not love necessarily for another person. Accessing true love through going back into and unearthing inner child / childlike states of feeling the best you ever felt when you were small, when you were little, when you were younger, and upending this idea that times have changed, like reminding ourselves that you can create the times that you live in. We're all doing it every day. And the pursuit of a feeling is always going to be the firefly thing. So there's something about having success. And by that, I mean, I have a tattoo of a firefly right here. The firefly analogy for me is very profound because it's about allowing them to emerge and just glow around you and being in the peace of witnessing that and realizing that it's never that far away, instead of, you know, trying to capture them and put them in a jar where they go to die and having to go around and find one and it blinks over here. And then, you know, your buddy's got one over there because they stayed over there and you shouldn't have gotten up because the firefly went over there. And it's like more about drawing things up from inside of you when you do become an empty cup and an empty vessel a little bit more, to allow yourself to realize that inside of everybody, right, we're the infinite Stargate. There's so much going on inside of all of us, and that's why it's important to study your own mandala, your own intricacies. Even the parts of ourselves that we deeply dislike or feel shame over or whatever they might be are there for a reason, functioning for the multifaceted version of God that you have chosen to be, and the resolution that you are freeing yourself to do by sort of unifying this spectrum of emotions too. There's interesting, somebody's showing me, I say somebody because I have a lot of, let's say, new presences at the table working with me lately. I don't know necessarily what, I'm just inundated. So I don't know who's, what guidance I'm getting when, but I am very protected. If you work with guides, you know this. It's a high time for spiritual protection as well. Funky business happening in the astral and all this stuff. So I forget what I was going to say. Oh yeah, it was a vision of like a timeline of somebody's life, and there was different chapters highlighted and circled. Okay, so it's like these different distinct things. We can unify the very best of the things that we have experienced, whether you're 12 years old or 49 years old or 30. You've lived some life and you've liked parts of it and you've disliked other parts of it. And there were certain parts that you didn't think you were going to survive. And there were certain parts that you thought that nothing can ever get better than this. And we have the opportunity right now to release this sense of sadness that you are without something. You can experience the things that you want to experience. You have to recognize where certain emotions are actually coming from, what the root is, where they're coming from, and then also give yourself the permission to pursue them energetically, You will have so much alignment. You will experience so much synchronicity right now if you give yourself the permission to kind of wipe the slate clean and dream a new existence into being. And I say it like, oh, it's this thing, dreaming. It sounds like it, like, oh, that sounds like it'd take a long time or whatever. This can happen very rapidly right now. I was talking to one of my very dearest friends today, and she was like, I want to write more poetry. I don't have enough time to access my creative side and do this and that. And like, man, if I could sit around all day painting, I would do it. What do we have? The strength card here. So yeah, it's like it's a softness about the enacting, right? With the butterflies, she sits here, the lion is with her. I don't know what I was pulling for. It was just a clarifier, but let me finish this here. I was telling her, get into it, but you don't have to like set the time aside. Just stating the intention that you're interested in accessing more of your creativity, allowing yourself to flow more in that state, is going to open what I believe is the universally accessible channels of genius frequency. If your modality is the written word, the spoken word, poetry, whatever, you know, short stories, fictional or nonfiction or whatever it is, or artwork or composition, a little bit right now, and opening yourself to that is going to connect you with all of the energy that wants to come to earth to bless us all. It's an interesting way of saying it, but like, we all have a function. Should we choose to accept and open ourselves to that function of creating more of what we collectively would like to see and experience as a group of people living on earth? And, you know, the artists of the world, the people with the freer, dreamier spirits who would like, you know, everybody, there's like, we're all kind of cogs in a machine, and not everybody wants to do certain things. Some people really like doing whatever. I don't know, it's getting really vague, but you know, like visionaries and worker bees and leaders and all these different archetypes, right? But there's a function right now for the people that are starting to feel, I think there's a lot of people that are starting to feel this grind or this crucial feeling of like, maybe a couple years ago, it was like, I mean, I'll always have my creative side. I'll get back into it. That's, you know, but it doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like there's something compromising about what it means to be alive, like happiness, being able to feel free and like you're in a state of expression and that all is well. It's like a survival lifeline right now, but it's also going to bridge the gap between being really locked into the sinking ship, as it were, and starting to, okay, keep running out of storage. But what I want to finish my message on is saying, just wrapping up that thought, really, that it doesn't take a lot of opening, you know, open the door a little bit. There are energies in support of what is happening on Earth right now, celestial energies, angelic energies, all different kinds of beings and non-physical, the matrices of your whole entire bloodline and lineage, everybody who has ever walked the earth before you, who is no longer alive. You know, this is the unified field outside of just a third dimensional reality. We come from it, we return to it, and we're ever part of it. But to be on earth and inhabit the human experience is a task, right? It's an undertaking. And so we're being asked to reopen ourselves if you have severed or constricted this pipeline, this connection, to open it back up. Not the people who do not have the call to do that. It doesn't even have to be this high spiritual thing. It can just be like literally enacting your passions and your hobbies. People who have the call to do that right now, it's very important that we do it, and we do it in a big way and in an important way. And we act like it matters, not like it's a hobby. Like it truly, really matters, because it's shifting you out of the energy that is denying you a lot of what you can create and experience right now. And that's an important message. Double bold underscore. I want to get one card for that message. And then if the video cuts off and ends abruptly, I just don't have any more storage to like say goodbye, I guess. But I will end the message. I will end the video here in a second. Clarify that, please, around creativity and opening ourselves up. It's a little quadruplet here. I'm sorry, no, it's not. There are 5 cards, okay? So a little story kind of takes shape. We have 4 of Swords, putting in hard work, being exhausted. I see this as like the daily grind, okay? Like working, showing up to a space that you're, we kind of exist in modern day America, at least, and all over the world, in this state of like perpetual colonial malaise. Like we're all, how did we get here? Why is this the way that we, have to, especially millennials, people who are like inheriting the earth, coming up, looking into our future. I feel like it's very, very different to be 25. Oh my gosh, one more try. Very different to be that age than it is to be 80 and look into the rest of your life. You have a different attachment to the way of the world, right? You're not planning or thinking about what you're going to do. And we're sort of in this hard work overwhelm, like, a lot of things are shifting. And there's this level of self-indulgence is what I heard, okay? King of Wands is like super confident, powerful, a little bit arrogant, but like it's deserved because he knows himself, and he's very embodied in like it's sort of also like a fun energy, like a fun energy. So we have to rediscover our power and our fun into the creative aspects that we're guided towards for this beautiful new beginning. And this connects to what I was saying with something arriving, but something also exiting that's very beneficial for us. And then also our ability to kind of transcend 666, everything happening on the material plane, to see through the prism of what you have already created. 111 again, it's a new video, so it's a new timestamp. But anyway, this 4 of Swords is about healing in this tandem energy of both being very confident, also being in a confident energy for the fun of it, and not for this work, right? Detaching yourself from results of what it is you're doing right now, because it's much more about the energy of what these activities are going to do for you over time energetically. You're either going to be tracking one way in this state of overwhelm, or we can liberate ourselves right now and kind of do things much differently, much more differently, to really change how beautiful. This is a very sacred season that we're entering, by the way. It's going to be a profoundly beautiful November and December, despite an extremely chaotic and disturbing one. I think both can be true at the same time, and it's like being epitomized by where we're at. And I haven't gotten the call yet to do an end of year like prophetic reading for the new year. I think that the structure of that is not going to be as relevant. I don't think it's